The pick is in.
Seattle Seahawks have made a selection in the 2024 NFL Draft. Alongside Locked On College Football host Spencer McLaughlin, I'm Tenitra Batiste, and we're joined by Corbin Smith of Locked On Seahawks to break down the Seahawks selecting Christian Haynes with the number 81 pick. So, Corbin, what can the Seahawks expect Haynes to bring to their offensive line?
This is one of the most polished offensive linemen in this entire class, a two-time All-American selection at UConn, a player that was a Senior Bowl participant, had a really strong week in Mobile. He can win as a road grader. That is my favorite part of his game. He's a very physical presence, likes to knock guys off the football, but he's also a high IQ player, and he played 49 consecutive starts at UConn. So he's an extremely experienced player that has been able to develop into a technician to go with his physical talents and his athleticism. So this is a player that can be plugged in as a starter on day one. At minimum, he's going to compete against Anthony Bradford at right guard. He's going to get the opportunity to be a starter for the Seahawks right away. So this is a great value selection in the third round.
And that's what I was going to ask you, Corbin, with a guy who is pretty much ready to start day one, how do you get him to fall to the 81st pick?
That's kind of like Byron Murphy yesterday. I'm just flabbergasted. I do not know how Christian Haynes lasted as long as he did. I wondered if maybe there were some medical reports out there that led to his drop, but there were a number of guards that were picked before him today that, quite frankly, do not have the resume or the film that Christian Haynes does. Maybe it was because he played at UConn and they have not had a good football team, but the fact that he was still an All-American selection in spite of the lack of wins for the Huskies, that tells you all you need to know. This is a highly respected player, a great young man on top of being a really good player. So I'm stunned that he was there at 81. The Seahawks were fretting that some teams traded in front of him to get him, but they got lucky. And for the second straight day, they got the player they wanted in Christian Haynes.
And for value, for more on the Seahawks, subscribe to Locked On Seahawks on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And Spencer, my thought goes to you because as our resident Seahawks fan, you got to be excited about your team getting this guy at such a value. But what do you think is, in addition to what Corbin shared with us, what's Christian Haynes' biggest upside?
It's his run blocking and his ability to fit into zone running schemes, the types that the Seahawks have used over the last couple of years with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. It's a dynamic 1-2 tandem at the running back position, but you've got to have big guys up front that can clear some lanes, and you don't need to clear massive holes for Kenneth Walker. KW9 is someone that just absolutely magnificent, but you got to have somebody up there that can make people move. And I think the Seahawks have really, really made a good selection here. And the second day in a row, you just don't have that many drafts where 2 days in a row you feel, wow, didn't think that guy was going to be there. Like having it once with Byron Murphy, that'd make Seahawks fans feel great. That was the best defensive tackle in the draft, taken 16th overall in the first round. But I really like what the Seahawks have done here. And I think that if he works out along the offensive line, that's where Seattle has had their biggest need offensively the last couple of years. The interior in particular. They drafted a couple of good tackles over the last couple of years in Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, but I think the interior has been a real weakness, and they've addressed that need right here.
And, Spencer, maybe it's on the offensive side of the ball this time versus defense, but it sounds like Seattle is getting back to being known for an organization that is able to get some sneaky good picks with some sneaky good value. For continuing coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft, subscribe to Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.